among a group of silver-haired elders aboard a luxury cruise ship. Watching sturgeons leap from the waters of Alaska, another group of silver-haired seniors sits atop unfinished concrete buildings, watching the moon rise and set. On the 18th of October, from January to September of this year, China's total retail sales reached 35.35 trillion, a year-on-year increase of 3.3%. This figure contrasts with the perception of the majority online amidst the prevailing discourse on cost-effective consumption downgrades. Why does the video data still show a growing trend? To understand this, I consulted a wealth of data and materials and ultimately found a rather startling answer. In the past year, the greatest contribution to consumption growth came from fasting, middle-aged and young adults aged 26 to 40. At the prime of their lives for enjoyment, they have become more frugal. In the first half of this year, McKinsey & Company released its 2024 China Consumer Trends Survey report, mentioning that although they account for a lower proportion in total consumption, they have a relatively positive consumption outlook. They show a clear demand for high consumption in food and beverages, as well as travel. In contrast, those aged 25 to 40, who account for the highest proportion in total consumption, generally hold a negative view, reducing expenditures due to concerns about asset devaluation and unemployment issues. Their daily consumption as a percentage of total expenditure is increasing. This research conclusion, published half a year ago, has been validated by many consumption figures this year. The main manifestation is the boom in the senior tourism market. According to the 2023 Silver Hair Travel Behavior Insights report released by Vantage, the average growth rate of silver hair tourism significantly exceeds that of post-80s and post-90s generation. Travelers aged 55 to 65 now account for 20%, and data from the Ministry of Culture and Tourism shows that last year, the total number of middle-aged and elderly tourists over 45 reached 36%, expected to exceed 50% around the year 2040. Besides, the growth rate of travel numbers is faster than that of young people, and their travel consumption is significantly higher than that of young people. Wayne Zivixin, general manager of AXA Senior Travel Program, revealed an astonishing figure at the 2024 Global Travel Summit due in January of this year, when China's first domestically built large cruise ship, the Ada Magic Capital, set sail for its maiden voyage. The majority of its passengers were middle-aged and elderly people, causing the cruise ship's restaurant taste to severely cater to the middle-aged and elderly, preferring flavorless dishes over ones with too much salt. Data from a domestic high-end cruise company is even more exaggerated. According to their disclosure, 90% of consumers of their combined cruise products are over 50 years old. The China Tourism Academy predicts that by the end of the 14th five-year plan period, the number of low-age, healthy elderly people with high travel rates and consumption will exceed 100 million, and senior tourism revenue is expected to exceed 1 trillion yuan. In the past, the 20 to 45-year-old middle-aged and young group, which accounted for the largest proportion of consumption expenditure, has started to become more cost-conscious. In the past 2 years, in the same travel market, during the 2024 National Day holiday, domestic tourism revenue reached 700,817 million, with per capita consumption at 916 yuan, only a 0.4% increase from last year's 912 yuan. In other daily expenditures, taking e-commerce platform data as an example, in 2023, Pinduoduo, known for its low and affordable prices, recorded revenue of 247.6 billion, a 90% year-on-year increase. In contrast, traditional e-commerce giants like JD.com and Alibaba had revenue growth rates of 3.7% and 2% respectively. This dataset is also the basis for the past year's discourse on consumption downgrades and cost effectiveness. However, nothing can be generalized, especially in the current context of significant income disparities. Not every young person has become frugal, and not every silver-haired senior is enjoying travel. Who is downgrading consumption and who is enjoying the good life is a question worth further exploration. In the McKinsey report we mentioned earlier, middle-aged and young people aged 26 to 41 in first and second-tier cities are the second most pessimistic about consumption. This seems to be corroborated in the business world as well, as relatively affluent new youth, their main consumption preference, luxury brands, has experienced a commercial slump in the past year. Once popular, Michael Kors saw its overall revenue fall by 9.6% year-on-year in the second quarter of 2024, with net profits plummeting by 76%. Danish brand Pandora's performance in China dropped by 26% in the first quarter of 2023. And the well-known luxury brand Coach's sales in Greater China ranked last in the latest quarterly financial report, with a 13% year-on-year decline, in contrast to the bleak situation of luxury brands. Luxury brands serving the wealthy are thriving? During 2023, brands like Hermes and Chanel raised their prices almost simultaneously. Consumption differentiation among the elderly is also significant. According to McKinsey's report, the most optimistic consumer groups are two types of elderly people. States those aged 58 to 65 in first-tier cities and those aged 42 to 65 in third-tier cities. The first group has a very typical identity label. Des have fully enjoyed the dividends brought by the rise in property prices during urbanization and real estate processes with higher wealth levels. The second group consists of entrepreneurs in third-tier cities whose income and pensions are much higher than the wages of local young people. These two groups have high income, relatively strong activity ability, and ample time after retirement, making them the pillars of the booming senior tourism market in China over the past 2 years. The most pessimistic consumer group in China is also the elderly. Compared with urban elderly, rural elderly have a higher proportion of spending with low income and heavy reliance on Social Security, making their overall mood more pessimistic. While one group of silver-haired seniors is aboard luxury cruise ships, watching sturgeons leap from the waters of Alaska, another group sits on unfinished concrete buildings, watching the moon rise and set. In 2023, the average age of China's migrant workers has reached 43.1 years, with those over 50 accounting for 30.6%. A more substantial social group is still struggling to make ends meet, including delivery personnel, couriers, ride-hailing drivers, and sanitation workers. The trend of an aging workforce in physically demanding jobs is deepening day by day. Regarding McKinsey's observation, I believe there is a group whose pessimism about consumption expectations is even greater than that of rural elderly, and that is young people aged 19 to 25. However, it is difficult to find corresponding employment and consumption data online, so we will skip over that. In summary, from 1962 to 1975, China's birth population remained above 20 million for a long 13 years. Now the babies born during those years are entering retirement at a pace of 20 million per year. Most of them may be rural elderly, but there is no doubt that the total number of urban elderly will also increase. These people will become a strong driving force for consumption growth in China over the next decade. But is this the consumption structure we want? Last month, a 22-minute speech by Fu Peng, chief of Northeast Securities, sparked a discussion across the web. At that time, coinciding with the Federal Reserve's interest rate cut, various bullish and bearish views were heatedly debated. Few people noticed another topic he mentioned in his speech: IELTS triggering the economy. Everyone is always discussing what can trigger the economy, but never consider that any industry growth under aging will be weaker than the reduction in young people's consumption. Our consumption for the elderly remains growth, but the consumption structure has inevitably become an awkward situation where some are willing to consume, some reduce consumption, and some cannot consume.